Hey, what's up, guys? Weather Geek here, bringing you guys a weather update. Hope you're all having a wonderful evening. We're going to start off this weather update with a recap of the severe weather that went through our area on Saturday, and we're going to look back at the SPC categorical risk. And we had enhanced risks for severe weather. We had a slight risk. This has encompassed most of northern Illinois, portions of central Illinois, and the enhanced risk pretty much just had most of northern Illinois in it. And there were actually a few tornadoes that were documented up there. Very short-lived, very brief ones. That was one thing I noted about this severe weather setup, is that there weren't a lot of long-lived tornadoes, or just tornadoes that touch down. They stay for about maybe like 20 minutes or so. We were thinking maybe like a couple tornadoes, maybe one might be a little bit longer lived than some of them, but they were mostly brief. And I woke up on that day and it was actually pretty sunny out, which is actually a rare sight in central Illinois and northern Illinois severe weather setups, because normally you wake up, there's a morning MCS that just kiboshes all the instability for the day, and by the time it tries to rebound, it's too late. You lost all your instability, and storms aren't really able to form, or they might be able to form, but they're not very strong. They don't grow into big supercells that produce tornadoes. They grow into more like generalized thunderstorms, maybe some lightning, but they're very, it's very capped environment. But we actually had a 10% risk for severe weather across portions of northern Illinois. Well, what happened on this day? Well, going back to like the morning when I woke up with sunshine, I was thinking two threat areas. Either the threat north of Bloomington, around the Pontiac area just south of Starved Rock, or there was also an area that HER was actually highlighting, possibly for supercell development. So I was also highlighting this yellow area for where I was going to chase. This was my primary target. This was my secondary target. As the day went on, I, of course, went to my primary target, and there was a supercell thunderstorm that was actually forming near Pekin, Illinois. I was looking at this cell. It wasn't really interesting, but I was heading south towards Eureka and Roanoke area to intercept this severe weather, this supercell. And what I got out of that was actually some pretty neat stuff. There was a wall cloud when I got down. There was a moderately rotating wall cloud with some rain wrapped around it. But I mean, it got even more organized. It was coming more towards my area, and you can see right here, if you can look through the video, you can see the rotation. This looks like a potato. It literally looks like a potato recorded this. I'm sorry, guys. It looks pretty bad. But yeah, I thought this thing was going to drop a tornado at any second. And if you look at this picture I took, this panorama, it's just this absolutely beautiful wall cloud. There's some rain shafts going down. There weren't any tornadoes. There was a funnel that actually formed pretty much directly overhead my location, around El Paso, Illinois. You can see the counterclockwise spin. It was spinning quite rapidly at times. There's another video I have of this. It looked more impressive than even this. I had to stop recording, and if I'm shaking the video, it's because of the strong inflow winds. And then I also got hit by the RFD. So there's about 30-40 mile per hour winds in the RFD region. So yeah. And then there were new towers going off to my south. I was around Lexington, Illinois, and there was a supercell forming around Farmer City at this time. So my secondary target actually has supercell forming it. So I was like, well, I'm going to head south, because the supercell was going to go into Indiana. I really wasn't thinking of going through the Pontiac, El Paso storm. So I decided to go southward, and my goodness, this structure was absolutely phenomenal. You can see the updraft. You can see the shear. It's pushing all this cloud and all the rain precipitation away from the updraft. And if you look at here, this is just absolutely beautiful structure. I mean, you have just air parcels that are just rising very rapidly to their LFCs. That's the bubbly convection. Here's like the base. There's the LCL. Here's the LFC, and then you can just see all this is just getting pushed to the east and northeast. Because I was looking at this from the north, I was looking southward at this time, and I can just go through these videos and photos all day. Here's some scud trying to develop a little wall cloud, but here's the updraft, and I mean, this was just absolutely beautiful to look at. And I also had a video that I published. If you guys want to go look at that, I'll have that in the description below. And then, of course, I was looking at other stuff, and then we're going to be talking about this later in the video. But what's going on right now? I've been rambling on for about 4.5 minutes about this stuff. But right now we have widely scattered thunderstorms affecting more of west central Illinois. Very, very heavy rain. That's the biggest thing with these storms. There have been some funnel clouds that have been recorded actually in McLean County, and also up here there have been funnel clouds. No tornado touchdowns or anything like that, but I mean, it's an interesting day. And as the sun goes down, a lot of these outflow boundaries will surge outward, these storms will weaken, and we'll start to repeat the cycle all over again. It's a weakly sheared environment, so these storms are going to go up, and then they're going to collapse on themselves, and they're going to push out outflow for new storms to form. So yeah, it's a typical summer setup. But these storms, we don't need much more rain. I mean, I got half an inch from a downpour that just developed over my house, but mostly around here, I've been pretty void of thunderstorms. In the east of here, they've gotten some, and then a lot over here. But tomorrow looks like the same. The next day, it just looks like few more days of this type of pattern until we get a cold front that comes through. Now, if we look at the HER, that goes about 36 hours out, you can see that this is 18Z, so this was back at like 1 p.m. So you can see storms are weakening, and then by the time we get to minimum heating, which is like around 12Z, when the sun's first coming up, you'll see the storms just absolutely are gone. No instability left. And then we start the cycle all over again with more thunderstorms, more heavy rain chances across most of the same areas that were affected today. Some areas that didn't get a lot of rain or much rain today might get it tomorrow. It's one of the haves and have-not patterns that comes with the spring and summer type pattern that we're in right now. But you can just see of this weakly sheared environment. A lot of shears over in Iowa, Missouri. There's actually a little bit more organized convection over here in the shear, and then there's a lot of just widely scattered thunderstorms producing heavy rain. These will just, without shear, they really won't sustain themselves into the night. But yeah, so as we get later on into the forecast period, it actually gets quite interesting. If we look at the future and we look at tomorrow, it looks like the same. The European, I'm just using the European as a general guidance. Don't use it. It's not a convective. It's not really it doesn't really show convection because of its 16-kilometer grid space. You can see that a lot of widely scattered thunderstorms over the next couple days, even few days, to be honest with you. Because then by Thursday, we're going back into that thunderstorm type regime. And then finally, you can see this cold front that's draped across here that just comes through, gets rid of the humidity, gets rid of the heat for a bit. And you can even see the 0-degree isotherm is all the way down to Wisconsin. And we're going to June. So this is a pretty cold air mass behind it. I mean, if it was like April, this would not really be that surprising. But I mean, since this is like June, late May and June, yeah, it's pretty cool. And you can see a northwest flow regime. And I gotta caution you guys, if you guys are using QPF maps to try and identify MCSs, you're gonna have a very bad time because these models cannot pick up jack diddly crap when it comes to that stuff. I'm not even kidding. I just know from experience, a northwest flow, you gotta watch out for storm clusters. Any vorticity area that comes through, any 500 millibar vorticity maximum that comes through has the ability to generate a storm cluster. And then under the heat dome, you're not really looking at anything, and it's not looking great for plains chasers. I mean, this ridge comes directly overhead, and we're on the northwest flow, or the eastern side of it. So what that's going to do is that all this stuff is going to be advected. It's going to be advected downstream of the ridge. And you can see it's really hard. The European, you can see just little lobes right here could potentially hold the threat of developing thunderstorms. And I've had times where some models showed no storms when I woke up, and then I wake up and there'd be storms everywhere, So they're pretty bad with this. So I'm not really looking at this. And even if you look at the QPF, you can already see signs that the European is trying to develop something. You can see right here, you have possibly a cluster of thunderstorms that develop in South Dakota, Nebraska area. And it moves over, and then it says it weakens, but I'm not very sure of that, especially if it develops at 18Z and then it goes through. I mean, these things can persist until, you get to, the solar minimum in heating, which is 12Z. So I have my suspicions, and then you do it all over again. And I mean, more and more threats, you know, as we go into time. And you can see over here, it's finally starting to map in. But I feel like before that, by this weekend, we might have to look out for some storm clusters. And you can see this is a pretty darn strong ridge that we're dealing with. Actually, you can see right here you have 591 decameter height anomaly, you know, which is pretty strong. And with a northwest flow regime, you're probably going to deal with MCSs across, I'd say, this area right here. You're going to have to watch out for storm clusters. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed my recap of the storms, also about the current weather, and about the extended range, and I hope I can do more of these in the future. Thank you guys for watching. And also, I forgot to tell you, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a video. I'm going to try and release more of these. Especially since we're kind of still under this, like, you know, quarantine type thing. You know, there's only things that I can do. I've been exercising. I've been, you know, storm chasing if there's a threat. You know, I've been just trying to make myself busy, and you know, it's not very easy, but you know, I've been getting through it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.